Hello again, welcome back. Let's focus on the finishing process. As you remember that we are creating our roughing process, and after the roughing process, if you want, let's create our stock setup. You can see here I can turn to the wireframe options, and this is the rectangle shape. We can prefer to use the manual and options. We can select our body according to my solid body, and my stock is created automatically. And then after that we can hit the verify options, and after that, and this is the calculation process right now, and then we're gonna see the verifying and options in MasterCAM here. And then let me hit the play button, and then you're gonna see the hour and the toolpath like this. This is the high speed pocket milling, and for contour roughing you're gonna see that this is the high speed toolpath, as you can see here. Okay, after that, this is the second step. It is starting right now. You can also optimize your toolpath actually. As you remember that we are using the offset line with the 4mm. You can also organize this stuff as well. Okay, so that part is because of my and the tool properties. So okay, anyway, okay, and that's it. After that, let me focus on the finishing process. As you can see that we're gonna see the hour and the boundary process here. Okay, let me select and that radius here and right mouse button, and then we're gonna send all that stuff here and with the level 101. And after that, let me turn to the 3D. I can turn to the wireframe and curve on edge options, and let me create some curve here, here, and here. That is all about our finishing process. So actually we don't need to recreate that boundary, but that's not so important. Okay, let me turn back to the C plane and the front view, and according to my front view I can create my surface and the draft. And let me select, let me focus on here according to this one. Let me delete this one, and then let me turn to the draft toolpath, and we can select our boundary like this and hit the enter button. And then we just need to create some 1mm is enough, I think, and apply button, and then we can select this one, and then we can hit that button. And I prefer to use the opposite direction for this one. That's created. Okay, anyway, and after that I'm gonna turn back to the curve on a boundary to get my point starting from here to here. Okay, that's enough. After that we can turn to the 2D. SSC plane, we can turn to the top, and then maybe we should turn to the 25, and then we can turn to the rectangle shapes. We can start from here to here, and then we're gonna get that kind of boundary. Okay, so after that it's also possible to create and some face from solid. I can select this one and this one, and then we can hit the OK button. Okay, that's it. Let's turn to actually mirror options. I can turn to the color with all color, and we can select this one and hit the enter button, and with the copy, of course, you're gonna see all that boundary is created here. And then we can select our geometry, and then we can turn to the transform and the mirror, and then we're gonna see that's kind of boundary here. Okay, so let's start with this one actually for our finishing process. Okay, I'm gonna turn to here, mill toolpath and surface finish toolpath, and then I prefer to use and blend toolpath. For this part, I can hit that button, select only entities color. I can select this one, and then I can turn to here. This is the automatic selection. I can create my window. You can see that only that color can be selected, and then we can hit the OK button. And after that, we need to prefer our blend toolpath. I can turn to the single selection. We can start from here, and after that we need to select the OK button and chain, and then we can select this one. Actually, by the single options we don't need to hit the end selection. Okay, and then let me turn to here. This is gonna be my tool. Maybe we should also organize our feed rate and the cutting speed and that stuff. And the surface parameters, it can be 3 and 1. This is the 0 stock to leave on the drive and stock to leave on the check surface. And then I can prefer to use 0 point and the 2 millimeter. And then we can turn to the gap settings. It can be actually follow surface and optimize cut order. Don't forget to select this stuff. And then let me calculate my toolpath. And then we're gonna see that's kind of toolpath for our finishing process. That is the perfect toolpath. Okay, that's fine. And after that, it's also possible to create this one. So this part, let me turn back to the mill toolpath and transform options, and we can select this one and the mirror options, and then we can select here, and then we can recalculate our toolpath. So when we recalculate our toolpath, so we need to turn back to parameters section actually to change our parameters. So we need to prefer to y-axis, not x-axis. And then we're gonna see that toolpath here. Okay, this is the mirror options. Okay, actually we don't need to copy all that file to here. Anyway, okay, that's okay. And after that, let me turn back to the actually toolpath, contour toolpath. Okay, I can start from the this. Okay, sorry, I can start from the this and the boundary and hit the OK button, and then I can prefer to use the that tool. For example, we can start from here to here. This is my cutting speed, and then it's a linking parameters. We can start from here to here, and then I just need to select this point. This is the -40, and then we can turn to the cut parameters. I prefer to use the ramp. My depth can be actually 5 millimeter. We can reactive linearize helix options, and then we can also prefer to use this one to final depth passes, and then don't forget to make them 0. This is the compensation calculated by the computer, and then this is the left compensation direction, and then this is the lead in and lead out process. And let me recalculate my toolpath, and then we're gonna see that's kind of finishing process. Okay, and yeah, that's perfect. And after that, let me copy my finish contour toolpath. Can you remember that one? Okay, it's okay. Let me copy here and paste it here, I'm gonna turn to here, and then I'm gonna create 6mm diameter ball mill. Actually, this is the relation with the radius and the tool diameter. Actually, if you would like to get better surface roughness, you need to use the less tool diameter and in comparison to your radius. Actually, let me make them 0. Okay, this is the same approach. I'm gonna use 0.15mm as a step down, optimize cut order, high speed loops, and the zigzag options. And then we can start from the -30 to -35. And then let me recalculate my toolpath. And then we're gonna see that kind of toolpath here. Okay. And as a final, you can also see the some radius here. Okay, as a final process, let me create some pocket and operation for my finishing. I'm gonna start from here to here. This is the outside of my boundary, so that is the best way to create my pocket toolpath. Okay, we can use the actually that tool or that one. It's not important. There is no any and the problem with my actually sharp corner and cutting speed and the linking parameters and the retract 5 and the feed plane 3 and the 0 and depth can be selected. Oops, sorry, it can be obsolete. We can select, oh sorry, it's obsolete. We can select this one. Let me turn to the cut parameters. It can be 0 to 0, conventional machining. When we turn to the roughing process, we can use the parallel spiral clean corner with my step over, and then entry motion can be off, and we can also reactive our finishing process. And then we're gonna see that kind of toolpath here. Let me turn back to my parameters. Maybe it can be 10% of step over, and we're gonna see that kind of toolpath here. Okay, and at that point actually you also need to be careful about that distance. For example, I can turn to here and oops, I can turn to here and close line. We can select this one and this one. We're gonna see some line here. Let me analyze that line. This is the 5mm actually, so that's why we cannot use and the 6mm or 10mm. Yeah, 10mm is enough for us. For example, when we start my toolpath actually, you're gonna see that our toolpath like this one. We can also use the paint options. You're gonna see that all my toolpath is gonna calculate it like this, so it's fine. Anyway, so this is also finishing process. Okay, you can also create some finishing process for an actually pocket operation. Before that, of course, you can also create some contour ramp toolpath. I just need to turn back to here and copy that toolpath and paste it here, and then we can turn to the geometry and delete this one, add new one. Oops, add new one and select this one and hit the OK button, and then link parameters and the linking parameters. You're gonna start from here to here. That is my distance. It's okay. This is actually, and the ramp toolpath is everything fine, but we need to turn back to the right side. And then let me recalculate my toolpath. Okay, it's fine. And after that, of course, as a final step, we can also copy that toolpath and paste it here. Okay, and this is the 8mm tool. We can turn to here and delete this one and add new one. We can select that one and hit the OK button, and the parameters and the linking parameters, that can be -55, sorry, -25. And then this is the roughing process. Actually, we just need to change our tool. My tool can be this one for finishing process. We can also use the 8, this one. Okay, so everything seems fine. Anyway, that's it, and thank you very much for listening to me. I really appreciate your interest. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me any question. I am here to answer your question. Please share that course with your friends, and then we're gonna create huge community all around the world to solve some engineering problems.